Hey guys, it's Brian. Welcome to 3 more stories from Brian's narrative. They are absolutely nail-biting. Stick around and be sure to comment and follow our channel. In short, my mother died just short of 3 years ago. Since then, my dad has met a new woman. We'll call her S. And she, along with her daughter, who's 14, we'll call her D, have moved into our family house. This is in my original country of Italy. Now, I don't live there anymore as I moved to the UK to study to be a doctor, and I work in the UK as well. I visit home 2 or 3 times every year and spend all my 25 days of annual leave there. I like it there. We have a rather large house with a pool, and it's next to the beaches, so it's my perfect spot for holidays. I was not consulted when my dad made the decision to have S and D move in. It's okay, he's a grown-up. Moreover, I wasn't asked if it was fine when D took my room. Now, last time I visited during Christmas, I had to sleep in the guest room. My room is completely repurposed for my stepsister. My clothes were packed into luggage and stored in the garage, and my PC was sold. When I asked why, the response was that they were expecting me to have a laptop and stay in a hotel. I endured it, and I stayed in the guest room for the duration of the holidays. Another thing I don't like is how Dee is treating my room. I've seen her sneaking a boy in through the window, and the guy came in through her window, not the main door. I'm not comfortable with them potentially having sex on what used to be my bed. And by the way, when I mentioned this to my dad and S, I was called, by both of them for violating her privacy. But that's another story. Now, I am scheduling to go home again for about 2 weeks in August, and I've demanded to have my room back, or at least have my belongings arranged properly and placed in another room. Now, important to note, we have a room that is identical to mine, but I can't use it because it was unfurnished. And another thing to note is that my grandparents on my mom's side own the house, not my dad, and they specifically said that they will pass it to me. Now, on the other hand, S says that I'm just there because I want to disrupt their family equilibrium and that I'm to blame for not allowing them to have the same standard of living as me. Her texts were longer than this, but I just summarized the text message. Now, am I in the wrong for asking that they fix my room or prepare an equivalent room in the house? I'm not expecting to have my room back. I was expecting them to furnish the equivalent room for when I'm there. Let me give you an update. The situation is that my dad is currently living with his new girlfriend S and her daughter D in Italy while I'm in UK for work. After a long FaceTime call with Dad, S, and D, they let me know that I'm really not welcome there anymore and it's time for me to stop using the house for summer holidays. Too bad, as I love the place, and too bad as I won't have face-to-face time with my dad. But I need to respect his decision. Now, I've spoken to my grandparents on my mom's side as they own the house, and we decided to let my dad and his family stay there for as long as they please under the condition that they pay a token of rent. Now, my grandpa will retire soon from his job as a professor of medicine, and I suggest I visit for the occasion. He suggested we go to Greece instead, and he offered to pay for tickets for me and my grandma. I have great admiration for my grandpa, as he's the one who inspired me to pick medical school. So I'm thrilled to go, and we booked the tickets. I shared the booking page on Facebook, tagging my grandpa as I know he likes these things. Oh well, bad move, because apparently S saw it, and they tried to reach out to me telling me I was being selfish again. I was selfish before when I asked for my room back. I apologize for this. I was selfish when I asked them to ship me the jewelry of my deceased mom. My dad doesn't remember it, and Dee already showed it at school. It seems bad to take it from her. Creepy, even. I mean, now I'm being selfish for going to a beautiful place in Greece with just some part of my family. Dee especially took it badly. She said she would love a vacation away and would like to come. Now, Dee told me that this would be a great chance for all of us to connect and be a family, and that I could show great maturity by telling my grandpa to pay for their tickets and accommodations too. They said that money isn't a problem for him. Well, she's right. He could afford such a trip. I made it clear that I don't want any of them to come, and we are now 2 different families. I don't want Dee to come alone either, as she's a mirror, and I told him that they should talk to my granddad, though I doubt he'll say yes, and they know it. Here's another update. Now, things have really escalated. My grandfather called them to complain about me. They fed him lies about me being selfish and said that I don't deserve a holiday, but they do. So, compensation for hosting me at Christmas? I offered to send my grandfather screenshots of the conversation I had with S, but he didn't want them, as he believes me. Another update. I know, it just keeps getting deeper and deeper. So I've since moved on and I decided I will settle in London permanently and never look back. My dad contacted me yesterday and we ended up catching up about our lives. After a while, he tells me that Dee has issues adapting to study in Italy, and she's performing poorly. I know that the high school she goes to is notoriously one of the hardest we have in the city, so it's normal. Also, I don't see the surprise in this. You can't move a teenager from one country to another and expect her to adapt at lightning speed. And then said that we're thinking about sending her to London to study for a year. There are programs in Italy that allow you to take a high school year abroad. Then he dropped the bomb. They were planning to send her to live with me. He said that I'm a good role model. I made it through med school and now I have a good job. Also, he said that with how much I earn, it won't be an issue to care for her and that I should make myself useful as a big brother, as I contributed nothing to the family all of these years, which is true, but neither did they with me. After some reflection, I told him I won't host her or anything for the following reasons. Number one, she's not my family. She's his family. He chose them, not me. And number two, I don't want to care for another human being. I work a ton and I have social life sometimes. And number three, she's lousy. When I was in Italy, I spotted her sneaking a boy into the house for the night. I don't think she even cares about studying. From the limited time I had with her, she was always either at a party or on her phone. So at this point, S came into the conversation and accused me of being rude and an egoist. I don't feel I can really have a conversation with her anyway. But she keeps interrupting me. I also can't really speak with Dee, and I don't know what she would want. Anyhow, they're buzzing my phone because they need my details, address, and documents before the end of October, which is the deadline for the abroad study program. So am I in the wrong here? I feel like they can always pay for her college if they want her to study in London. What do you think? Comment below for me. Now let's dive into our story number 2. Am I in the wrong for refusing to change my unborn daughter's name? That's the big question. Here's the story. For context, my brother, he's 34, and his girlfriend, she's 28. They've been together for about 8 months, and my brother has admitted it's already getting a bit rocky, and he's debating leaving her. After a few months of trying, me, a 27-year-old, and my husband, 28-year-old, we're pregnant with our first baby. I'm 20 weeks along and have been very unsure about a name for our baby girl until 2 weeks ago. Now, at first, we were hesitant about being public about the name, as I know disagreements can occur. Now, I won't lie, it's a pretty basic name, but it's his late grandmother's name and a name I'd always liked. So we went with it. Just a bit more context, my husband lost his mom at 8 years old, and his father was never really present, so his grandmother became his caregiver and a massive part of his life. So we started dating at 14 and 15, and from the start, I was open about my home life not being the best, and she welcomed me in her home whenever I needed. She was also a massive part in my life and helped me to get through my abusive parents, now on better terms though, and all the bullying. So we always had a good relationship. We both loved the idea of our baby girl to take the name of her great-grandmother and to wear it in honor her whole life. After we announced the name, my brother's girlfriend just flipped. She stated that was her late daughter's name from a different man, not my brother, so I had no idea that was her name. My brother just informed me that her daughter had passed last year and to be careful of those sorts of topics around her, but the name was never brought up. Now, she immediately demanded we change the name and said the baby wouldn't care, and I explained it was also in honor of my husband's late grandmother, and it had real meaning to both of us, and we didn't want to change it. But she insisted that she couldn't hear her daughter's name, especially not on another child. Now, I understand it must be hard, but the name has meaning to us. And if I'm being honest, if she's genuinely a part of my family, I may have considered, but my brother wasn't sure if they were forever anyway. I offered for them to come up with a nickname that they could use around her if she desperately didn't want to hear the name, but she refused and said she doesn't care about whose grandmother is dead. She had it coming, but her daughter still had her whole life ahead of her, and called me an inconsiderate cow. Now, my brother broke up with her on the spot, and now all my friends are saying I took it too far, but I really don't think so. Was I in the wrong? Let me give you an update. Some people believe this story is fake due to me including my friends randomly at the end, but these three girls were my close friends, and we have very similar opinions and have always told each other everything. Now, my brother's girlfriend had gone and told them and other people apparently that no one else has contacted me. I knew the name and I did it in spite of her. Obviously, that's not true, and I didn't include it before as I didn't want the story to be too long. Here's some responses from some of our listeners. Sevenson26 said, "You are not in the wrong. I get why she's upset, but she can't demand that of you. If you're not even close enough to her to know the name of her late daughter, then that's far enough of a separation that she can't tell you what to do. It would be a different story if her daughter's name was a unique name and that you only decided on it after hearing it from her, but that's completely not the case here." Beautiful Routine 489 says, "This also what's up with these friends out here that side with the unreasonable person." Fing Shui Fountain says, "I agree. I often read these and think that I would never associate with people who are so clearly unaligned with normal values. Also, stop discussing stuff with friends, especially as it's not their business." That's a good point. And finally, B. Elizabeth says, "Most of the time it's because they are getting a one-sided story, just as we are." Ooh, what do you guys think? Let's jump into this last story. Am I in the wrong for telling my parents I won't help them with their retirement because they didn't help me with college? I'm a 26-year-old female. Recently, I graduated with my master's degree and landed an absolutely great job. Here's the thing. My parents never helped me with my education. They flat out refused to contribute a dime and told me if I wanted to go to college, I had to figure it out on my own. Meanwhile, they lived comfortably, took fancy vacations, bought new cars, and even did expensive home renovations. At that time, it hurt that they wouldn't support me. But I worked part-time jobs. I took out loans and made it through on my own. Now my parents are nearing retirement and have started hinting that they expect me to help them financially because they didn't save enough. I finally snapped and told them that just because they brought me into this world doesn't mean they're entitled to my money. I laid out everything they did while I was struggling in school and told them they should have thought about their retirement before wasting money on luxuries. Now, I said I wasn't their personal safety net and that they're going to have to figure it out, just like I had to. My mom broke down crying, saying they sacrificed so much for me growing up and now I'm turning my back on them. My dad was furious and accused me of being ungrateful and selfish. He even threw in, "We raised you for 18 years and this is the thanks that we get?" Now, my siblings are now calling me a brat, saying it's cruel to let our parents suffer, especially since I'm the most financially secure out of all of them. But I can't help feeling like they made their bed and now they need to lie in it. Here's where it gets even messier. I also said I'll never take care of them when they're old and that if they ended up in a bad spot, that's on them, not me. Now, my siblings are horrified I'd go that far, but I'm standing my ground. So am I in the wrong for refusing to help my parents with their retirement, even if they do end up broke and struggling? Here's some responses from some of our listeners. Kaylee LeBlaze says, "By bringing you into the world, your parents committed to meeting all of your needs for 18 years. That's the bargain they signed up for. You want a kid? Okay. In exchange for getting to choose, you have a kid. You're responsible for all their needs until they become an adult. They don't deserve some kind of payback for raising you. Raising you was an obligation they chose, not an exchange you signed up for. You don't owe them for their choice to have children. And when children choose to support their elderly parents, if it's a healthy relationship, they choose to do it out of love rather than obligation. If obligation is the only reason someone becomes your caregiver, it's going to be awful for everyone involved. So no, you're not in the wrong." Chance Lavishness 947 7 says precisely this. Children cannot agree to a contract before they're born. They're not a party to that decision at all. Now, parents make the decision to have a child, and they hold all the responsibilities for raising that child to adulthood with no promise of a return on that investment other than the joy of seeing their child grow up. So no, you're not in the wrong. Go to the comments, let us know what you think about these stories, and be sure to hit that bell so that you're updated every time we drop brand new stories every day.